What is up, everyone? Welcome to part 3 of putting together IMNC HQ. Now, of course, I'm not actually in IMNC HQ at the moment. I just wanted to show you guys the crop of stuff that I just brought down in the car, or, well, Dad and I brought down in the car. We put my office chair, the throne, on the roof rack, and had all this stuff in the boot. So, yeah, pretty much all of my setup, really. Give or take a couple of bits and bobs. Give or take, if I can even speak. But yeah, today is the same day that I just finished recording. I literally just finished recording the Dismantling IMNC HQ Mark I video about 20 minutes ago. So I'm not actually due to start recording this video and to start putting the setup together until tomorrow, because I thought this was going to take way longer, but looks like I can make a little start today. Not sure if I'm going to wire it up, but at least I'm going to put things in their places to see what they look like. So I'm going to carry all this upstairs, which is going to take me a little while because I'm absolutely knackered, but I'm going to carry it all up and let's see how it looks. Well guys, this is not good. This is not good at all. Well, one good thing is it looks beast, but oh crap. Yeah, they're so not fitting there with the speakers. They're really not. They are really not. I can't believe that. I really can't. Monitors are a lot bigger than I thought they were. In fact, speakers are a lot bigger than I thought they were. Monitors are a little bigger than I thought they were. Speakers have really added something quite extraordinary to this project. So now I'm toying with all sorts of ideas, and I'm really glad I didn't go with one of my ideas that I had. I've got some wall mount speaker brackets. I was very tempted to wall mount them either side of the window, but that would have been even worse than how it is now. So yeah, I've learnt my lesson here, folks, in terms of measuring and that. But remember, this is the first ever setup that I've built from the ground up. Before, it's all been simply building up over time. But yeah, these speakers are pretty much facing straight, which is intriguing. Let's have a look at this. Let's see what we can do. That is the absolute best I can do. The speaker stands have moved forward a bit more, so the Mac is now pushed out a bit more. There's still plenty of space for it, as you can see. Obviously I haven't finalised the screen angles and placement yet, but that is literally as good as I can get. But the only one problem is, this is by no means a good stereo image at all. The distance between the two speakers needs to be the same distance between each speaker and me. It needs to be a perfect triangle, and it's just so not. It's basically like wearing giant headphones with the speakers this far out. I was not expecting, I knew it could have been a struggle, but I wasn't expecting this much of a struggle. Yeah, it's definitely intriguing, but we'll see how it goes. Also, I've just realised the stands aren't even in the same place, so how has that worked out? One monitor must be more tilted than the other. Tricky, guys, tricky. I'm going to carry the rest of the stuff up and see how it goes. I've just done a little experiment. I've pushed all the monitors down, and I thought I could get the speakers on their sides above the screens. That way I could get the stands right back. But then it's actually nowhere near ideal, because even with my chair at the lowest settings, this is my eye line. So for me personally, I like to look up at screens more than I like to look down. So the screens are too low and the speakers are too high, so nothing is in a good position if I do that. Plus I don't like the overall look of it. I think it looks, I don't know, it just looks nasty to me. It doesn't look good at all. But yeah, we'll see. So it's a few hours later. I've gone away, come back, had some food obviously, and sort of reset myself. And I am now feeling one heck of a lot better about this setup. As you guys can see, I've pretty much moved it into a sort of position where it's kind of working to how I had imagined it. And yeah, it's, to me at least, not looking as out of place as it did. I've also moved this rack over here and put some things on it, put the mixer there, put the keyboard and mouse there, just plonked a few things down to get sort of like a good idea of how things are looking, to get some context. So What I'm going to do now, I think, before I carry on at all with wiring anything up, I know this sounds crazy, but what I think I'm going to do, folks, is plug in the speakers and see what they sound like. Sit in the middle and see what it's like, because I need to get good sound. Otherwise, I may as well set up my creative speakers and have done with it. I'm just not sure how much, because that's one hell of a spread. But we'll see how it sounds. So I'm going to quickly bung that together. So all I've done now is just quickly plugged in my phone. I had this spare sort of weird twin phono cable thing in my box. And I've just quickly plugged in the speakers really roughly to power and everything. And I've had a little listen. And I will say, man, I love these speakers. But at the moment, when I'm in the middle, because they're just so to the side of my head, I can hear each individual speaker. Now, if you guys don't have a clue what I'm on about, like, audio is so important, but if you know that feeling when you're wearing headphones and you almost can't hear each individual channel going into each one of your ears, like you can't hear the left and you can't hear the right as if it's going into your ear, you can more sort of hear it in your brain, like more in the middle of your head, if that makes any sense whatsoever. And if you know that sound when one of your earphones or one of your headphone cups starts to die and you feel all lopsided, and you can start to distinguish where the left and right is sort of coming from, that's the kind of feeling I have at the moment. I can really tell that these speakers are either side of me. Really what should be happening is if I'm seeing something there, if my mouth is moving there, it should look like the vocals are coming out of my mouth. But instead, my ears can hear that my voice is coming from either side of me, if that makes any sense. Because I'm way more accustomed. Firstly, basically, these speakers should be where these screens are, for starters. I should be in a perfect triangle. And also, I'm accustomed to having speakers right by the monitor. So I'm just going to roll with it at the moment because I can't actually do anything else. I'm listening to some music and things like that, just really trying to get a grasp of how it is. I'm going to have another 5-10 minutes on this. In terms of the room itself, the room seriously needs treating. There's a serious amount of ultra low end, like there's a serious amount of, between 40 and 50 hertz coming from these speakers, shaking the floor. I can feel the floor moving. But then everything between sort of 55 and 80 hertz, I can't really hear. And there's also like a low level to the low mids. So there's not a lot of grunt to like nice warm guitar tones and things. The lower mids are quite lacking, but a lot of that's to do with the room itself. So yeah, I'm gonna give it another whirl. Development, folks, development, and I promise I will move on to doing some more exciting things. I've been focusing on audio so much. I'm actually quite happy now. I thought, hang on a second, Tom, you're overthinking this. You're stressing, you're looking at the speaker placement and you're stressing about where the sound is coming from. And what I decided to do was close my eyes, clear my head, and I find that a very difficult thing to do. Clear my head completely, listen, and just feel what you feel. So I sat here, and before closing my eyes, I lined up my eyes with the center monitor. I sat in my chair in a very comfortable position. I closed my eyes, and strangely enough, I hear the center to be roughly there. It's very interesting. It's higher. I think the speakers could do with being a bit lower. But if I was higher in my chair, if I go up in my chair, it's interesting because the center comes down, but also the separation widens. Because I'm not sure. Again, I don't want to go too in depth into this audio stuff because I don't want to lose your attention, but like what it is, the higher the frequency, the more directional it is in terms of how you perceive that frequency. So the frequency, if it's higher in the frequency range, you can really tell where it's coming from. But low frequencies, it gets to the point where low end is actually omnidirectional. So you cannot tell where bass is coming from. But high frequencies, you can. So if the tweeters perfectly line up with your ears, if these perfectly fire into my ears, like when my chair goes up, then obviously that separation is going to widen and I start to lose my grasp on the center of the stereo image because I'm hearing more high frequencies. That's telling my brain where the speakers are. But right now my ears are in line with about the top of this cone here. So the high frequencies are sort of hitting the side of my head. And yeah, I'm in very close range to such big speakers. And I'm not judging the EQing at the moment because I'm not sure if this cable is dodgy. I hope this cable is dodgy, or I hope it's something to do with the phono input or something, because my God, there is a massive lack of lower mids and I don't know what that is. I really, really don't. But that's it for me on the audio now, folks. I'm going to tear all this apart and we're going to get down to the proper nitty-gritty of setting up this setup. I'm really sorry if people that don't care about audio are struggling watching this video, but hey, it's a big part of this setup and I just want to see this equipment put to good use. So yeah, so I'm making progress, guys. All three monitors are powered up. They're not in their positions yet because I haven't run signal cables to them, but that's my next job. Now basically, what's going on under here? Well, I've pretty much decided that half of the ideas that I had were crap. The power is all over the place, the cabling is all over the place, and all in all, I'm going to rethink the entire situation. So for this part of the video, completely ignore the cable mess. We will address the cable mess and recable everything, yeah, pretty much in the next part. Whether we have to unplug everything, I don't think we will, but maybe just unplug a few things. I'm going to get a proper, nice thin 6-way for in there and do it all properly. Yeah, those power supplies are great, but they're bulkier than I remembered, and all in all, the whole thing just needs one heck of an overhaul. Even though I haven't begun yet, I'm just borrowing that one for now and blah blah blah. Yeah, it's just not good. The power's not good, but don't focus on that for now. Focus on the setup itself and getting it up and running. We'll do the cabling in the next part. So I have the basics of the setup hooked up. If you guys look in the back of the mixer here, you can see Firewire. Firewire is running all the way underneath the desk and coming out and going into the machine. If we go over to the machine, you guys can see that I've run all 3 display cables. That's 2 DVI and 1 HDMI. I've got USB 2, that goes to the center monitor, which is then distributing to the keyboard and mouse. That's all it's doing at the moment. Obviously power to all the monitors, and that is literally it. Power to the machine. By the way, I've lost my official Quicksilver power cable. I'll be swapping it for that one when I find it. But let's take a look if she boots and if everything works. So, power on. Light is on, that's a good sign. 3, 2, 1, go. Let's take a look at how far we get with this setup, folks. Excellent. That is a good sign. That is a good sign. Brilliant. Brilliant, brilliant, brilliant. Booting up, of course. Here we have it. There is my system up and running. Okay, I'm gonna log in. I've done it, guys. Oh, my voice is going now. After ages and ages and ages of wiggling and jiggling. Oh, bloody hell, I've gone and shoved my chair on top of a load of things. Okay, after ages and ages of wiggling and jiggling around with all this stuff, I have got this stuff into a brilliant position. I basically found that the easiest way to do it was to pull the base of these 2 monitors forward and tilt just the screen. For some reason that really helps. And yeah, we're pretty much all symmetrical and pretty much all in the middle. And as you guys can see, I'm laid out here with my workspace. I've got my editing drive and my iTunes drive back up and running, plugged in USB 3.0, super drive plugged in, mixer obviously working, all the audio through the power conditioner. I've even powered up the, what do you call that? Compressor. Anyway, as you guys can hear, I'm going slightly mental and the cabling is absolutely disgusting, but for the first little moment of setup, for a functional setup, we're looking great in my opinion. I am loving this. It's looking fantastic. What I'm going to do now, folks, is tell you one thing that I haven't catered for is my microphone. That is interesting. Okay, maybe it'll go here? who knows? Job done. I've even wired it in. I don't know why I took the XLR cable off this stand when I moved it, but I just did. So yeah, I put another one on there, and I changed it for red cable ties to match the shock mount. So it's all wired in to channel 1. No compressor hooked up yet via the inserts, but all that is to come. That's just pointless cabling that'll get in the way while I'm waiting to do my cabling. So yeah, the microphone is sitting there, all good. It is the next day, and I have just finished editing my first video on this setup. Obviously not my first video using this system, but you know, this system in this configuration then. Man, it's good to be back with my proper editing workstation. It really, really is. So the video that I've edited, of course, is the previous one to this one on the main channel, which is the dismantling of IMNC HQ Mark I, which is obviously what led us to this in the first place. And I have to say, I'm thoroughly enjoying the edit so far. What I am noticing, the edit's done, but I'm thoroughly enjoying using the system so far. That's what I meant to say. What I am noticing is the temperature in this room. Now, it's pretty much as hot as it's going to get at the moment. It's 20-something degrees. It's boiling hot. It's summer. And often we get really good weather now, even better than we do in sort of like July and August and things. So the past few days have been really hot. So yes, it is hot in here. I don't know how hot, but it is very hot. And the system is audible, which never really happened in my old place because the room was always very cool, which was nice. It wasn't always cool, you know. If I'd been in there all day working, then it'd be hot. But it was generally a cooler house. So I am going to look into getting some kind of fan or something for this room. Opening a window is an option, and I did yesterday evening, and it worked really well. But I can't open a window and record, and I can't open a window and comfortably edit because the sound just carries. It really does. And when I open a window, I could literally hear all the kids playing in the garden a couple of houses down. I could hear the man over there digging up his flower beds. I could hear absolutely everything. So they can obviously hear me as well. So yeah, I kind of like to keep the sort of in my own world privacy element when I'm editing and filming, of course, with things like this anyway. But yeah, it's I'm going to look into some kind of column fan or something, or little sort of cheapo wannabe air conditioning unit that's fairly quiet, one that I can, you know, obviously turn off when I'm filming, but one that isn't too distracting to have on while editing. One thing that I've done since yesterday is I've put my USB 3.0 splitter here for now. Not sure if it's going to stay there, but I think that's pretty groovy. I needed to plug it in for my card reader, of course. And yeah, that's working out really well. Obviously the cables are still disgusting, but I believe we're going to address that in the next part of the video. As I mentioned, that's still the plan. Today, the plan is, even though I've got a few other things planned for the day, and it's already fairly, well, time is ticking. Actually, I just double check. Oh, it's not even midday yet, so I've got plenty of time to get things done. But one thing that I want to do today is sort of get all of this out of the way and sorted, and get this sorted as well. So today, with today's little bit of filming, we're going to be stepping away from the main setup because, as you guys know, the bulk of the main setup is done. We're going to be focusing more on the test setup, but we're not going to be setting it up as a test setup today because I don't have the majority of the things that I need. I don't have my tools, I don't have my test monitor, I don't have my just anything. I don't have the power that I'm going to need. I don't have the networking that I'm going to need. Basically nothing to set it up. But at least I want to get things tidy and also get the gaming PC set up here, so that when Doom arrives, in fact Doom has already arrived. Doom is sitting at my parents' house right now, I believe. But yeah, I doubt I'm going to be able to play it. We're going up there later anyway, so I'll bring the game back. It's always worth a go, but I'm going to set up the PC with the TV and speakers and stuff regardless, and I've got a keyboard and mouse for it, so yeah, that's all going to be pretty groovy, and I want it to be tidier in here, so that'll be something. And also the internet is hopefully just around the corner, so I am going to finalize a couple of the things, just make sure everything's still plugged in there, etc. So yeah, a couple of things on the plate for today, but in terms of the main setup, man, I'm happy. I think I'm pretty much ready to leave this setup as it is and get started on the rest of the room because I'm quite happy with this. What I've done for now is I've actually come up with an awesome idea, guys. I think you're gonna love this. These are actually about 20 inches wide, about 19.5 to 20 inches long. So I thought, when I saw this spare PDU that I've got here, the rack mount one, I thought to myself it would be fantastic if I could integrate that into this shelf to power some of these devices and to give me some more sockets down the side here in case I ever need them, because you know, if I'm often say playing around with a PowerBook or something on the main setup or making a video or whatever, I'm going to need to plug its charger in, and there's all sorts of different scenarios where I need extra sockets. And maybe, obviously, you know, there's going to be a lot of sockets on the test bench, but maybe it won't be at the test bench, it could be at the main setup. So what I'm going to do is get this, and I've held it in position underneath where I want it. And when we do all the cabling in the next part, one part is going to be putting that under here and cable tying it to the underside so that you won't be able to see anything from here. But if you just go like that, there'll be 6 sockets under there on a switch, and that'll be ideal, I think. Other news, you guys can see that I basically filled the shelf down here. This is by no means finalized. It's likely that I'll keep a lot of like blank DVDs and DVD cases and things like that down here. Maybe have a little tray or something with some pen drives, or I guess that would be better off in the drawers. But anyway, down here at the moment, I've just got all my hard drives sitting here safe. Believe it or not, there is 14.75 terabytes down there at the moment. There's 3 2TB drives there, a 2TB there, 1TB, 3TB, 750 gig, and 2TB. So that is crazy. It's built up. All of these are 2TB Caviar Greens, as you guys know. I use them as my archive discs, and I can't wait to have the NAS because that'll be an extra layer of security. And also, it'll mean that if I want to access old data, I'll always have it there 24 hours a day, whereas at the moment, if I want to access data, I have to put a drive in the toaster and access it that way. Now, these drives are kind of backed up-ish, randomly on the external drives, because what I have is a dead clone of Archive 1 on one of these drives. I think it must be this drive. And then this one is a clone of the Mac Mini at home, which is, yeah, essentially all the compressed videos. This one is pretty much, I think, an image of the Mac Pro, or is that one an image of the Mac Pro? I can't remember. There's all sorts. Oh, that could be an image of the Mac Pro. It might not even be an external drive. I can't remember, guys. But yeah, got my Mac Mini G4 there, and my headphones there. And that is looking pretty sweet now, I think, that entire area. So I'm pretty much ready to start tackling the test bench area. First, I'm going to faff around with these drawers, find out where I want them, because they can't stay there because that is taking up all of my leg room for that workspace. More progress, guys, more progress. The Doom setup is born, as you guys can see. Yeah, so no drawers here anymore. No drawers. Bye-bye drawers. One set there, not finalised, and one set over there, probably finalised. Probably, because legroom is still great here, and it'll probably be tools and things here. So, yeah, as you can see, the pole for my test monitor is there. The good old Dell 2009W. And also got the PC. This isn't a finalised setup either, guys. I'm not going to always have a gaming PC setup here, but this is just for Doom. We still haven't come to a conclusion about the PC scenario at home yet. Everyone pretty much guessed that I was giving Jess the Tempest 410 Elite build, the one with the 6950s. I haven't released the details on that yet, but it will be a video to come. But we haven't reached a decision as to where in the house we can set up our gaming PCs. There's just downfalls with every solution we come up with. But yeah, that's a story for another day. This is here temporarily. I think it's pretty cool. I'm playing Doom on a 32-inch 1080p. Nice keyboard. Can't find my mouse yet, but that's no big deal. It's a rubbish mouse anyway. I need to get a mouse sorted. But yeah, creative speakers. The sub is there. Obviously all not set up yet, but yeah, I'm going to keep chipping away at this bit by bit. So let's do a little twirl of the office. Man, it's looking good. Got the PC there. That yellow Ethernet cable is the longest one I have with me, so that's connecting the Hackintosh to the switch. The router's powered up. I'm eagerly awaiting internet. Eagerly awaiting. Got no mouse for this setup, so I need to grab that when I go up to the old place later. But as you can see, that's all hooked up, and it recognises the internet because it's complaining about my router. Over here, I just have the one box that's still quite full of cables from the old setup, but of course that will be sorted. I have an optical drive. This optical drive is meant to be going into this PC, and that LG is meant to be going into the other PC. I got the cable ties, and down here I've got 3 boxes that are going up into the attic for storage, a battery sled there, and there I've got the UPS and a battery sled. That is going to be sold. You'll hear more about that in the networking video. If you're wondering where the RAID is, I've shoved it in the rack, out of the way. So, all looking ideal there. The drill is going to live in the shed eventually, but I don't have a lock on the shed at the moment, so not quite yet. But that's pretty much it for this little segment. So it's been a few days, and I've taken this time to do something that is probably one of the most important steps of setting up a new setup, or office space in general really. I've taken some time to actually use the setup, to use it normally as part of my everyday life, doing my everyday work, and I am absolutely delighted to announce that this setup is extreme comfort. I'm really happy to announce this, folks. It's just coming so naturally to me. I use it in a very similar way to how I used my old setup. As you guys can tell, my keyboard and mouse are pushed quite far back on the mouse mat here, and it may look a bit weird having a lot of empty space on the front, but this is how I find comfort. I always have to have my arms completely outstretched for typing. It's always been like that. And I remember a lot of people, like when my friends would come around my place back in the day and everything, they'd grab my keyboard and the first thing they'd do is pull it to the front of the desk so that they could do this hang your arms off the front and type like that, which is what people seem to do a lot. But me, I'm totally different. I have my arms flat. I find it very comfortable. But one really good thing about this new setup that lends itself really well to that particular tactic is the fact that the chair goes properly underneath the desk without hitting into anything, because it was a little bit limited on height. But the main problem with the old desk was the shelving that I had to this side, the server shelf, and that RAID was sticking out, so it used to hit into my chair. But now I've got plenty of space to pull right in, put my elbows on the armrests, and have my hands here ready for typing, which is ideal. Now, I'm so pleased with the comfort. I have sat here for a long period of time. I think the longest stint I've done at one time on the desk was last night because I couldn't sleep. And then I actually fell asleep at my desk, which is hilarious. But I think the longest stint I've done so far is 5 hours. That's pretty much way the longest time that these days I'm going to spend sitting at my desk. You know, with the old setup, and before I had Jess and before I had Eli and a family life, I could rot away at my desk easily for 10 hours. But these days I'll always be getting up and doing something else in between. So being comfortable for 5 hours, and I mean comfortable, guys, the ultimate level of comfort, I was very happy. Now, the nature of a triple display setup, you're always going to have head movement. You can't set it up in such a way that you can see everything in one what would you call it, frame of view or whatever. So with this setup, the monitors are a little more pushed out, as you guys can see. They don't quite curl around me as much. Part of me likes it more. I think it looks cooler like this. I think it looks less crammed, and I think it looks pretty funky. But I'm still getting used to it. The monitors appear as if I'm sort of that end of the monitor, I'm not looking at it as closely as I am this end, which is true because it's further away. I feel that it should be tilted in more, but this is a more conventional triple setup, you know, just with a slight angle. Before, the reason I had really sort of, you know, kind of severe angles, pretty much a box of displays, was because of the corner desk. So that is something. Now, one tiny thing that I'm going to touch on is the audio. How is the audio holding up? Because as you guys know, I've been panicking about it. I'm still getting used to the audio, but I am really getting there. The good thing about this sort of thing is once you're accustomed to your own speakers and accustomed to your own speaker setup and placement, you can really get used to it and how it sounds within a normal environment, if you know what I mean. So you can gauge, you know, with watching a lot of films or watching a lot of other people's YouTube videos, listening to music, you can start to build up kind of like a kind of log in your mind of what everything is sounding like, and then you become accustomed to what that sounds like, you know, when you compare it to any other sort of system. I hope you guys know what I mean there. But I'm slowly building up my little database of what things are sounding like, and a couple of things are taking me by surprise on the audio front, but it's going relatively well. I believe that I would like to lower the speakers ever so slightly. So it's actually kind of good news, because once I get some acoustic pads underneath the speakers, when I put them down to the next setting, it'll bring them up to the level that I'm hoping to achieve, which is really good. So I'm happy with the speakers. Now, unfortunately, folks, this is going to be the end of this video, but as you guys know, it's a multi-part series, so I will be coming back with the next part. Unfortunately, I think the next part is going to be a little simpler. We're going to be sorting out cables, because as you guys can see, the cables are disgusting, so we're going to do our best there. You know, it's not going to be the same kind of along the same lines as the cable management I did for my gaming PC. You know, this setup, there's only so much I'm going to be able to do without purchasing a lot more cables with custom lengths, etc. But we'll try and make it look a lot better. And also in the next part, I'll be bringing down some of my tools and just a few other random bits from my old setup that I need down here. So yeah, the toolboxes, the computer parts, and we'll be arranging some of the drawers and some of the drawers here, and I need to bring down my soft boxes, and we'll be arranging those. So I think it's all going to be that sort of thing in the next part. You won't be seeing any exciting new things in the next part, such as the acoustic treatment and the other bits and bobs that I want to add to the test setup in terms of power distribution and things like that, because I'm just a little bit running out of money for this sort of thing now, guys. Just a little bit. Not in a scary, critical kind of way, just in a, yeah, I've got the setup that I need for now, and I need to slow down, because if I spend too much on doing all of this, I won't have any remaining funds to actually do some projects for IMNC, and there are quite a few projects that I want to get done this year. So just before I go, I want to make a note on the rack, and I want to thank everyone for their suggestions about the rack. As you guys can see, this is a pretty damn good temporary solution for now, and it wouldn't surprise me if it stayed like that forever, but maybe with some kind of rack box on top of it. I've had a few suggestions from people about mounting stuff under the desk. Of course, the limiting factor is this. So you can't really get anything mounted flat, and if you wanted to mount it underneath that, it would actually intrude with my knees and stuff, and if you wanted it to do it over here, then the leg is in the way. And of course, under each monitor, that's just clutter. So yeah, I appreciate all of the suggestions. I've thought about all of them, but this is probably kind of how it's going to stay for a little bit, just a little bit neater. I'm going to address one more comment before I go, and I've only just remembered to do this. I had a comment from someone, and I'm not thinking too much into it, but the comment said, "Tom, I thought you were going to have a conventional setup, but no, this is just clutter." And I want to say something. I want to say that I'm not ending on a bad note, I'm just ending on like a sort of wisdom note from what I believe in regards to this topic. What exactly does the term conventional setup mean? Now, I think that the term conventional setup, if someone is going to use those two words together and insult someone else's setup in the process, I think that they're obviously referring to the clean setups, the clinical, clean, boring setups that are displayed all over YouTube, where someone has an iMac, a wireless keyboard, a wireless mouse, and a huge desk with nothing on it. What is that? What is that, folks? This is not clutter. This is everything that I use. I've got my keyboard and my mouse, my 3 displays that I use, my microphone for recording, my charger for charging my batteries, my mixer for the audio, the rack for the stuff that makes some of the videos, like the Doom PC, the rack that really helps make that sort of video sound absolutely brilliant. And that video has reached a point to which I've got totally random people commenting and saying, whoa, the audio is amazing. So what is clutter? What is clutter about this? I don't understand. Yes, there's a bit of clutter under there, but that's only temporary storage. And do you know, if something's functional for someone, it can be whatever the heck they like. And this doesn't even have any kind of ornaments or anything on here yet. I'm not sure if I'm going to have anything, but it is a bit bare. I think this is bare. And yeah, for someone to say this is just I can't believe, sorry, for someone to say that they thought I was going to have a conventional setup. What is that? And if you're watching this, whoever you are, I know I've given you the satisfaction now, and I never talk about comments about things like that, you know, but that just kind of thought, well, do you know what? I'm spending all this time, effort and money planning this setup and just sort of like just chipping away at it bit by bit, trying to make it as perfect as possible for my working life and my workflow. And I think I'm doing a pretty good job. And then for someone on the internet that doesn't have a clue how I work, that doesn't have a clue what my workflow is, has the audacity to say that I should have gone for a conventional setup and this is clutter. I couldn't believe that, folks. And this office is 10 times less cluttered than my previous office, which was basically my bedroom. But anyway, I'm not going to dwell on that. And yeah, if it's too rambly in editing, I'll cut out that point. So that is the setup. And I'm pretty damn pleased. Here's the rest of the office. Not much change. Apologies about the plate. Yeah, not much change, but we'll be focusing more on over here in the next part of the video, which may be a little further down the line, depending on a few different factors. But there is lots to look forward to, guys. Lots to look forward to. So thank you very much for the awesome support throughout this series. And as always, let's just do a little, as I do, roll back. Nice shot back here. Look at that. Hey, as always, folks, I will see you in the next video.